It was a rainy evening in a small town in the Midwest. The kind of rain that seems endless, soaking everything in sight and turning streets into rivers. People hurried home, clutching their coats, praying they wouldn't get caught in the storm. But one street, tucked away behind the busy main road, was already flooded. The water rose fast, swallowing sidewalks and creeping toward front doors. That's when he saw her. A woman struggling against the current, her expensive shoes sinking in the mud, and her arms flailing, trying to stay upright. Without thinking, he ran into the water. He didn't pause to wonder why she was there or who she was, he just knew she needed help. He grabbed her hand, pulled with all his strength, and managed to drag her to the safety of a dry sidewalk. She was shaking, drenched from head to toe, and coughing from the sudden immersion in cold water. He offered her his coat and a warm cup of coffee from the cafe nearby, his own hands trembling slightly from the cold. "Are you okay?" he asked, voice full of concern. She nodded, trying to catch her breath, but her eyes were wide, filled with gratitude, surprise, and something else, something she hadn't expected to feel. Before we dive deeper into this incredible story, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, like this video, and leave a comment sharing your thoughts. Join our community at Kindness World, and help us spread stories that warm the heart and inspire action. He was just an ordinary man, a single father, working 2 jobs to support his young son. Life wasn't easy. Bills piled up, the rent was always due, and yet, he never let the weight of life harden his heart. That night, as he sat across from the woman, drying her hair with a spare towel he had in his car, he didn't realize she was someone extraordinary in the eyes of the world. She was a millionaire, used to a life of luxury, private jets, and exclusive events. But all of that meant nothing at that moment. What mattered was the warmth of his smile, the steady calm in his eyes, and the genuine care he had shown her when she needed it most. She watched him quietly as he spoke about his son, about how he worked night shifts to make sure the boy had everything he needed. She could see the fatigue etched in his face, the calluses on his hands from long hours of work, yet he radiated kindness. Every word he spoke, every gesture he made, revealed a heart that cared more for others than for himself. It was in that moment she realized something profound: wealth and privilege could never buy what he had, the courage to act when it mattered and the capacity to love unconditionally. Days passed, and they couldn't stop thinking about each other. She wanted to repay him, to thank him in a way that matched the world she came from, but he politely declined any reward. "I didn't do it for money," he told her, smiling. "I did it because it was the right thing to do." That honesty, that simplicity, only drew her closer. They met again under more ordinary circumstances, a walk in the park, a shared coffee at the corner cafe, but the connection they had forged during the flood lingered like a spark that refused to fade. She started to see his world, not just the struggles, but the beauty in the little things, the way he played with his son in the living room, the pride in his eyes when the boy learned something new, the laughter that filled their modest home. And he, in turn, saw her differently too. Away from the glamour, away from the expensive dresses and glittering parties, she was genuine, warm, and compassionate. He didn't know about her bank accounts or her properties, and it didn't matter. What mattered was her heart, her laughter, and the way she made his world a little brighter. Months went by, and their bond grew stronger. She admired his dedication, his integrity, and the way he never asked for anything in return. He admired her strength, her humility, and the subtle ways she helped people without drawing attention. They laughed together, cried together, and found solace in each other's company. Friends and neighbors noticed the change too. The single father who had always carried life's burdens alone now seemed lighter, happier, almost as if he had discovered a new kind of hope. Then came the day she finally revealed who she was. She had invited him to dinner at a quiet, elegant restaurant, not for the luxury, but because it was her way of celebrating something real, something heartfelt. And when she quietly told him, "I'm not just someone you saved. Well, I have a lot more than you realize," he blinked, stunned. But then he smiled, the kind of smile that reaches the eyes and warms the heart, and said, "It doesn't change anything. You're still the person I've come to know." That moment sealed it. Money had nothing to do with the bond they had formed. Their connection was built on kindness, courage, and genuine care. Eventually, their love blossomed. But it was different from the fairy tales you read in books. It was real. It was tested by life's hardships and strengthened by acts of compassion. She learned to appreciate the simple joys he treasured, like Sunday mornings making pancakes with his son or evening walks in the park. He learned to see that kindness and generosity could exist in abundance in someone else's world too. Together, they found balance, a partnership grounded not in material wealth but in mutual respect, empathy, and the pure joy of sharing life's journey. The story of a single father saving a woman from a flood and finding love with her afterward spread quietly at first. Neighbors told neighbors, friends shared it online, and soon, people everywhere were touched by the reminder that kindness matters. It doesn't matter who you are, how much money you have, or where you come from. What matters is the courage to help, the willingness to care, and the heart to love without conditions. In the end, the woman often reflects on that stormy night, realizing that the act of kindness that saved her life also transformed her heart. And the single father, once weighed down by the struggles of life, discovered that small acts of courage and compassion can change destinies, not just his own, but someone else's too. And that's the magic of kindness. It's a simple act, a momentary decision to help, to care, to step forward when others might hesitate. Yet, those moments have the power to change lives in ways we could never imagine. From a flooded street to a shared life filled with love, laughter, and hope, this story reminds us all that even in the darkest storms, the light of kindness shines brightest. So, the next time you see someone in need, remember the single father and the millionaire. Remember that life's most valuable treasures aren't measured in dollars or possessions, they're measured in acts of compassion, in courage, and in love freely given. Because kindness, genuine kindness, always comes back in ways you could never predict, often more beautiful than anything you could have imagined. And as we close this story, let it inspire you to spread a little kindness today. Hold a door, offer a hand, smile at someone struggling. You never know how deeply your small act might touch a life. The world becomes brighter, warmer, and more hopeful, one kind act at a time.